Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, Salam Kebajikan. The Governor of Special Region of Yogyakarta, Your Excellency, Sri Sultan Hamengkubuwono X. Excellencies, the Head of Regional Planning Agency of Yogyakarta Province, Dr. Andes Beni Suharsono MSI, Director of Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta, Professor Dr. Muhammad Irhas Effendi, MSI, the President of aibpm, Lim Kaisin, PhD. Keynote speakers of today's conference, Dr. Pua Lian Ke from University Sains, Malaysia, Dr. Kiran Sud from Chitkara University, India, Dr. Nehal El Nagar from Royal University for Women, Bahrain, Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik from Jindal Center for Global South, India. Excellencies, participants, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the second Wimaya International Conference in Economics and Business, held by Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta and supported by the Association of International Business and Professional Management, AIBPM. I am Aulia Herdiani. I feel honored to be the host for today's event. It is such a perfect opportunity for us to interact and network you all, peers and colleagues across country. I proudly announce to you that the second Wimaya is attended by academicians across the world: Indonesia, Malaysia, India, Nigeria, Bahrain, Pakistan, Poland, Iraq, and Ethiopia. I do appreciate you for taking your busy schedule to join us today, Friday, 25th November 2022. On these occasions, we have outstanding discussions from our prominent speakers on a world of opportunities, not only concerning on how we need to recover from the outbreak, but also this can be our potential opportunity to grow even bigger. Ladies and gentlemen, before we officially begin our international conference, we will reverse and listen to our national anthem, Indonesia Raya, and Mars Bela Negara.
Indonesia ku tercinta, persatuan dan kesatuan negara Republik Indonesia. Undang-undang dasar 45, Pancasila dasar negara. Seluruh rakyat wajib bela negara, sama-sama hari esok makmur sejahtera.
Excellency speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I present you Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta and aibpm.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sehat, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Selamat datang seluruh mahasiswa baru Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis UPN Veteran Yogyakarta tahun 2022. Saya ucapkan selamat bergabung dalam keluarga besar mahasiswa Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis. Mahasiswa FEB UPN Veteran Yogyakarta akan selalu memiliki tekad yang kuat guna mengenyam pendidikan sebagai upaya implementasi dari cita-cita bangsa Indonesia yang diamanakan dalam pembukaan Undang-Undang Dasar 1945 dalam rangka mencerdaskan kehidupan bangsa. Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis UPN Veteran Yogyakarta selalu melakukan yang terbaik untuk mahasiswanya agar dapat kita wujudkan visi Fakultas Ekonomi tercinta ini, yakni menjadi Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis yang unggul di tingkat ASEAN yang dilandasi jiwa bela negara pada tahun 2030, di mana selain pendidikan akademik yang akan tumbuh pada jiwa-jiwa mahasiswa, akan tumbuh juga jiwa bela negara, kecintaan pada negara kesatuan Republik Indonesia seperti slogan kita, yaitu Widya Matyasa, yang artinya menuntut ilmu guna diabdikan untuk pembangunan bangsa dan negara. Yang pada akhirnya nanti saudara setelah mengenyam minimal 144 SKS dan lulus menjadi sarjana ekonomi yang handal dan juga mencintai negara ini. Perjuangan yang Anda lakukan kelak tidak harus melalui angkat senjata, namun melalui bidang-bidang yang lain termasuk bidang ekonomi, yang mana nanti akan berdampak pada kemajuan bangsa dan negara. Untuk itu, proses pembelajaran yang akan disajikan oleh para dosen haruslah saudara ikuti dengan seksama dan dengan rasa sungguh-sungguh, sehingga saudara dapat lulus sesuai dengan waktu yang telah dialokasikan, di mana pembelajaran diberlakukan menjadi pembelajaran akademik yang akan saudara ikuti di kelas, dalam mata kuliah, dan yang lainnya. Serta ada pembelajaran pengembangan diri mahasiswa yang bisa saudara lakukan dengan mengikuti kegiatan di luar kelas, yang memang kegiatan tersebut sudah secara legal dan didukung oleh Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta seperti organisasi kemahasiswaan, unit kegiatan mahasiswa di UPN Veteran Yogyakarta. Kembangkan diri saudara sesuai dengan minat bakat saudara dengan memanfaatkan fasilitas dan peluang yang ada di UPN Veteran Yogyakarta. Menuntut ilmu adalah hak saudara-saudara warga negara Indonesia yang telah ditegaskan dalam Undang-Undang Dasar 1945. Menjadi seorang yang lahir, tumbuh dan besar di negeri Indonesia tercinta ini membuat rasa cinta kita pada negara ini amatlah besar. Saudara berasal dari seluruh Nusantara, berbanggalah pada negara ini, di mana estafet kepemimpinan nanti akan berada pada pundak saudara semuanya. Menjadi generasi milenial yang didukung oleh kemajuan ilmu pengetahuan dan teknologi, serta kemudahan-kemudahan dalam memperoleh informasi, harusnya membuat saudara menjadi manusia yang unggul, yang bisa dengan mudah menggunakan akses tersebut memperkaya ilmu pengetahuan. Generasi terpelajar akan selalu menghasilkan ide-ide dan kreativitas yang cerdas, luar biasa, dan akan mengguncang dunia. Lulusan dari FEB UPN Veteran Yogyakarta bukanlah lulusan yang lemah, tetapi lulusan yang kuat dan tangguh. Saudara seperti harapan pelita bangsa yang selalu menghadapi kegelapan di tiap-tiap masanya. Bangsa ini memiliki cerita panjang yang akan selalu terpatri dalam balutan sejarah. Kini waktunya bagi saudara mengukir sejarah-sejarah baru dengan tinta emas kejayaan khususnya di bidang ekonomi. Saya bangga saudara di sini. Saya bangga saudara menjadi mahasiswa Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis UPN Veteran Yogyakarta, yang mana saudara harus bersiap lalu meleset menggapai cita. Bersama kita akan melewati tantangan-tantangan di masa depan. Sekali lagi, selamat bagi saudara menjadi keluarga besar Fakultas Ekonomi dan Bisnis UPN Veteran Yogyakarta. Katakan satu untuk ekonomi. Terima kasih. Akhirul kalam. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Akuntansi kompak selalu.
Manajemen bersatu, manajemen bersatu, manajemen bersatu.
Ekonomi pembangunan satu. Ekonomi pembangunan selamanya. Ekonomi pembangunan satu untuk selamanya.
Katakan satu untuk ekonomi dan bisnis. Katakan satu untuk ekonomi dan bisnis. Katakan satu untuk ekonomi dan bisnis.
This academic conference is one of the most important conferences specifically to me because it allows us academics and students, our students, to get together and start sharing the latest in terms of research and education. I encourage all to participate in this wonderful conference, and I thank the organizers for this wonderful conference. Thank you.
This is my first time to attend these activities, and I really love it. It belongs to accounting, management, and also business. And as I am master of accounting, I really enjoyed, and I got really many beneficial knowledge from these activities. And I would like to join to the next agenda of this program.
Thanks a lot for inviting me to such conference that we got experience. It's really benefit for new generation. So we are so happy that we join such kind of conference. Hopefully next time we will enjoy another conference, such beneficial conference.
Kesan saya selama mengikuti international conference ini sangat recommended ya, karena sejak dari proses aplikasi submit paper sampai dengan pelaksanaan baik ini versi online maupun offline, suasananya bagus, enjoy.
Saya happy banget ikut conference ini dan feel so lucky karena saya ketemu banyak banget guru-guru yang bisa saya ikutin jejaknya, dan juga paper saya juga beberapa kali juga udah dipublish.
Without further ado, I'd like to invite the respected Rector of Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta, Professor Dr. Muhammad Irhas Effendi, MSI, to deliver the welcome remark. Yes, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to all of you. The Excellency Governor of Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta or representative, the Honorable Keynote Speaker, and the Honorable Participant of the second Wimaya International Conference, Faculty of Economy and Business, UPN Veteran Yogyakarta. First of all, let us give thanks to the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, God Almighty, because of the abundance of favor and gifts. This international seminar raised the theme of what of opportunities to strengthen the manager commitment to building the economy. Resilience is emerging as a vital measure for companies operating in world of turmoil and endless disruption. The pandemic is asking companies to move much faster. No inflation, interest rate seem to be here to go with the times. Mostly thanks supply chain exhausted, especially in the energy sector. It caused company to apply their new speed to everything resilient dimension company. Finance, operation, technology, organization, business model, and reputation. For CIOs, the main question right now is how resilient is your company? The second priority center on ancient virtue, courage, with so many indicators burning red. It's tempting of a business leader to backtrack a bit, delay some initiatives, and cut back on growth plans. The best leader and companies are ambidextrous, careful to manage the downside, boldly pursue the upside. These leaders are thinking about the next decade, not the next month. Money supporting their organization to reading the odds and reset the strategic game board give the current volatility. toward greatness in the corporate industry is a difficult thing full of challenges. Venturing into an entirely different sector is another, more complicated story written by today's top CEOs. More than half of top executives are considering building a business three main priorities. How do they do it? They start by setting very high standard, being unicorns, and then they do protect new business from business as usual. The most fertile ground for building a new business and green technology to climb a leading position in the value pool. CEOs need to remember that in this capital constrained time, they have an advantage to start up. As to start up down, they can provide new business with the asset needed to succeed. The people needed to make all of the above happen are never from the mind of top CIOs. The sixth priority that need to be done is the leaders need to re-engage employees. In recent years, contract with workers have become a little too transactional for everyone looking through dimensional. CEOs need to think hard about future workplace, the place worker want to be, meet friends, learn new ideas, and find enough meaning in their work. The CIO is the main strategist of the company. What is less well understood is that he is also a key integrator, tasked with identifying company spending problem and formulating responses that bring all right resources to bear. To do that well, because contradictory perspective outside in and inside out. Once again, it is necessary to pay attention to the sixth main priority of the CIO in dealing with environmental turbulence in order to grow and develop. The strategic steps are: 1. Resilient fallback spring ahead. 2. Take courage. 3. Head the new business. 4. Technology the best growth. 5. Net zero stay the course. 6. Revive the employee experience. Hopefully, the 2022 Wimaya International Conference can contribute ideas for the sake of economic progress, especially company performance. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Professor Effendi. Following the next agenda, please welcome the Director of aibpm, Mrs. Ira Christiana, to deliver the opening speech.
It is a great privilege for me to present the second Wimaya International Conference with the authors and delegates of the event. We hope that you find it useful, exciting, and inspiring. The second Wimaya International Conference is a prestigious event organized with a motivation to provide an excellent international platform for the academicians, researchers, industrial participants, and students around the world to share their research findings with the international business expert. In this second Wimaya International Conference is attended by around 111 participants from Indonesia and 300 plus participants from overseas, such as India, Malaysia, Kuwait, Bahrain, Pakistan, Turkey, and etc. In the second Wimaya International Conference aims to provide opportunity for the global participants to share their ideas and experiences in person, with their peers expected to join from different parts on the world. In addition, this gathering will help the delegates to establish research or business relation, as well as to find international linkage for future collaboration in their career path. The second Wimaya International Conference outcome will lead to significant contribution to the knowledge base in this up-to-date business and management field in school. Therefore, on the day of completion of this journey. We are delighted with a high level of satisfaction and aspiration. The responses to the call for paper had been overwhelming, both from Indonesia and from overseas. We would like to express our gratitude and appreciation for all the reviewers who help us maintain the high quality of manuscripts included in the proceeding. We would like also extend our thank you to the member of organizing team for their hard work. We are now optimistic and full of hope about the second Wimaya International Conference. And I would like to say thank you for all keynote speakers. Dr. Pualian Ki from University Science Malaysia. Dr. Kiransud Chitkara, University India. Dr. Nihal El Nagar, Royal University for Women, Bahrain. Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik, Jindal Center for Global South, India. Thank you for the committee from UPN Veteran Yogyakarta, Dr. Randa Sujarnika, MSI, Dean of Economy and Business Faculty, DRE Sri Kusujaniatun, MSI, Vice Dean of Economic and Business Faculty, Dr. R. Heru Kristanto, HC, Head of Management Program of UPN Veteran Yogyakarta, and Mr. Yoga and teams, all section chairs, MC, and moderators. Thank you, the Governor of Special Region of Yogyakarta, Sri Sultan Hamengkubuwono X, and the Rector of Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta, Profesor Dr. M. Irhas Effendi, MSI, for the full support. Thank you all for your support and your dedication to make this conference happen. We appreciate that the authors of Second Wimaya International Conference may want to maximize their popularity of their papers, and we will try our best to support them in their endeavor. Let us wish that all the participants of the Second Wimaya International Conference will have a wonderful time in conference. I'm Ara Christiana, Head of ICPM Committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ira Christiana. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the last but not least, it's our honor to invite the Governor of the Special Region of Yogyakarta, represented by the Head of Regional Planning Agency of Yogyakarta Province, Dr. Andes Beni Suharsono, MSI, to deliver the opening remark.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sehat untuk kita semua. Izinkan saya menyampaikan keynote speech Bapak Gubernur Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta lengkapnya sebagai berikut. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam damai sejahtera bagi kita semua. Yang kami hormati, Rektor Universitas Pembangunan Negeri Veteran Yogyakarta, para pembicara, pengisi acara, peserta konferensi dimanapun saudara-saudara berada. Puji syukur kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa, karena masih diperkenankan kita untuk bersama-sama mengikuti acara ini dalam keadaan sehat walafiat tanpa kekurangan suatu apapun. Saudara-saudara, dari informasi yang saya terima, perhelatan ini dimaksudkan sebagai wadah diseminasi hasil-hasil riset, baik yang berkaitan dengan upaya pemulihan dan kebangkitan ekonomi pasca pandemi, maupun yang berkaitan dengan permasalahan-permasalahan umum yang terjadi di masyarakat. Ajang ini juga dimaksudkan sebagai wadah diskusi, serta fasilitasi dalam membangun kerjasama antar perguruan tinggi dengan para pemangku kepentingan. Saya atas nama Pemda DIY mengapresiasi diselenggarakannya Second Wimaya International Conference 2022 yang mengangkat tema The World of the Opportunities. Ada dua hal yang mendasari apresiasi tadi. Pertama, kita tahu bahwa pandemi telah mendistorsi seluruh lini kehidupan tanpa terkecuali. Meski demikian, perlu diakui bahwa pandemi juga membuka banyak peluang yang sangat potensial untuk dijajaki. Yang dalam inisiasi dan implementasinya tentu saja harus didasari dan dikawal oleh data dan informasi yang relevan, valid, reliable, aktual, lengkap, dan konsisten. Adapun kalangan akademisi dan peneliti adalah pihak yang berperan besar dalam hal penyediaan data dan informasi tersebut. Dan perlu diberi ruang yang sebesar-besarnya untuk mempublikasikan hasil-hasil temuannya, sehingga dapat bermanfaat dalam proses pengambilan kebijakan ke depan terkait dengan isu yang diangkat. Kedua, telah timbul kesadaran kolektif pada tataran global bahwa kunci utama peradaban dan kemanusiaan adalah komunikasi, kolaborasi, dan sinergi yang baik mulai dari level terkecil hingga level terbesar. Berkat kesadaran inilah mengapa Sustainable Development Goals memberi penekanan pada aspek Leave No One Behind. Kesadaran ini pula lah yang menjadi alasan sehingga forum G20 yang baru saja berlangsung sepakat mengangkat Recovery Together, Recovery Stronger sebagai tema besarnya. Bertolak dari hal-hal tadi, besar harapan saya, Wimaya International Conference 2022 ini dapat berlangsung dengan lancar, sukses, menghasilkan keluaran sesuai dengan yang diproyeksikan, yang pada akhirnya dapat mendatangkan manfaat serta kontribusi nyata bagi peradaban dan kemanusiaan. Demikian yang dapat saya sampaikan. Semoga Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa senantiasa meridhoi upaya kita bersama. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yogyakarta, 25 November 2022. Gubernur Daerah Istimewa Yogyakarta, Hamengkubuwono, ditandatangani. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Matur nuwun.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Benny, for such thoughtful speech. And very well, ladies and gentlemen, now we are pleased to announce that the international conference has officially begun. Welcome to the second international conference, Wimaya. Before that, I'd like to remind all presenters to format their Zoom name based on their presentation room. For example, if I'm assigned in room 1 and I'll need to rename my Zoom to R1 and then Aulia Herdiani and so forth. And for section chairs, add SC in the beginning followed by R with your room's number and then your full name. Ladies and gentlemen, we'd also like to invite you to share today's photo to your Instagram and give the hashtag 2022 Wimaya and hashtag info for academia 4 with number 4. And the best Instagram post will get free entry for our next conference. We also invite you to follow our Instagram at info aibpm and our YouTube channel on aibpm talk series. You can also obtain up-to-date information about our events, publication opportunities, and the video of our conference. The information has also been shared in the chat box, as well as other important information related to coming events and then opportunities. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to introduce you the keynote speakers of today's conference. We have four excellent speakers with us right now. First is Dr. Pual Lian Ki from University Sains, Malaysia, and then Dr. Kiran Sud from Chitkara University, India, following Dr. Nehal El Nagar from Royal University for Women, Bahrain. And then the last but not least, Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik from Jindal Center for Global South, India. It is also my deep pleasure to introduce you the moderator for today's event, Ms. Intan Istiqomah. Good morning, Ms. Intan.
Good morning, Miss Aulia.
Hi, how are you? Miss Intan?
Yes.
Is everything okay on your side?
Yes, everything is okay on my side. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, but it's a little bit bunching, your voice, I think. But it's audible. Okay, at first, let me briefly explain her bio. Intan Istiqomah was born in Yogyakarta on January 16, 1991. She received her bachelor degree in industrial engineering from Universitas Gadjah Mada. She then pursued her master degree in the operation management and logistics study program at Eindhoven University of Technology. She won several academic merit scholarship awards such as PPS Scholarship and LPDP Scholarship. She also actively participated in student organizations and activities such as Himpunan Mahasiswa Teknik Industri and Angklung Enovan. She returned to Indonesia and worked for a state-owned state-owned company for more than 3 years, and currently she pursued a career as a lecturer in the management study program, economics and business faculty, Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta. Her research interests include operation management, circular economy, and sustainable supply chain. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Ms. Intan Istiqomah. Ms. Intan, the time and the screen are yours.
Okay, thank you, Miss Aulia Herdiani. Good morning, everyone. I hope you are in a good health today. My name is Intan Istiqomah, and I will be the moderator for today's conference. First thing first, I would like to announce the rules and the presentation time before I start to introduce our keynote speakers. The conference rules are, first, all online participants will be mute during the presentations. Second, there will be a question and answer session after the keynote speakers finish their presentations. And last, the moderator has the authority to choose who will deliver the questions or the suggestions. Before I start, I would like to inform you that each keynote speaker has 20 minutes to present their slides and 10 minutes for question and answer sessions, which will be done after the presentation session. Okay, so today we will have 4 excellent keynote speakers. Our first speaker is Dr. Pual Lian Ki. Okay, Dr. Pual Lian Ki is a senior lecturer at the School of Management, University Sains, Malaysia. She has more than 20 years of experience in teaching accounting courses, and she is currently teaching financial accounting and reporting subjects with specialization in international financial reporting standards. She was appointed as the chief examiner of a professional body from 26 to 29 for its financial accounting paper. Dr. Pual is also actively supervising postgraduate students and has successfully graduated more than 15 PhD and master students. Her main research interest is in the areas of voluntary disclosure and IFRS, earnings management, ESG, key audit matters, risk management, and corporate governance. She also serves as a member of the editorial board of AAM Journal of Accounting and Finance, and has presented papers at national and international conference. Good morning, Dr. Pua.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm fine.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Pua.
Clearly?
The time is yours. Yes?
Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, good. Right.
Okay. Yes, please. The time is yours.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll share my screen first. Very good day to distinguished guests, my dear colleagues in academics, delegates of the conference, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm thankful to the conference organizing team for inviting me to join these great events. A big congratulations to the team for successfully organizing this conference. Today, I'm delighted to share my experience with regards to research in accounting and finance. In line with the theme of this conference, A World of Opportunities, I would like to explore some opportunities that we can easily grasp by leveraging big data to maximize research output in accounting and finance. Okay, in Chinese, opportunity is always paired with risk. In other words, risk is accompanied by opportunity. This means in order to grasp opportunity, we must learn how to identify risk. Risk arises when there is uncertainty, and this is frequently caused by changes in the environment. As researchers, we must be sensitive to changes that open up new research opportunities to us. For instance, the massive lockdown during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic has brought unexpected changes to both social and economic activities. A lot of things suddenly change and become highly uncertain. Business activities were highly disrupted. Our daily life is no longer the same as usual. The pandemic has obviously turned into a major global crisis as well as critical local issues. As a result of that, issues related to pandemic has captured vast interest among researchers from different disciplines, and research work related to the impact of pandemic and other COVID-19 issue is mushrooming. So from this scenario, we can see how changes create opportunities for new research. Right. Okay. Now, changes have also made a topic remain relevant, although it may be an old issue. Now, I have listed some of the common and popular topics that are very well researched in accounting and finance. This includes research on firm performance, capital structure, dividend policy, corporate social responsibility, earnings management, corporate governance, and many more. And we noted that even though there is a huge and established, well-documented literature from prior research, these issues are still attracting continuing interest among researchers. So, what makes this old issue still remain relevant today? Now, one of the main factors is because different contextual environment often offer unique characteristics that warrant researchers to examine some old topics or issue from a different perspective. Very frequently, my new PhD students will like to ask me the same question. Doctor, do you think I can conduct research on CSR and firm performance? Can I study on corporate governance and earnings management? Well, before we answer this question, we need to be well versed with the unique characteristic in respect of the contextual environment of our research. So, what are the different or unique characteristics in the contextual environment that may offer new insights from a different perspective to enhance the literature? Now, this characteristic could be related to competitive advantage of an entity or from the unique or specific corporate governance mechanism imposed by the entity or due to policy change, resources or culture, technologies, issues. So, different contextual environments will offer new angle, new perspective to look into an old research topic. For example, let's take ownership structure in developing country. Okay. Now, when we talk about ownership structure from agency theory perspective, the ownership structures in developing country is more concerned about type 2 agency problem, which is conflict between major shareholders and minority shareholders for developing country as compared to type 1 agency problem in the Western country where the conflicts are more critical among the shareholders and the managers. And then for the same ownership structure issue, if we apply the lens of stakeholder theories, we will be more concerned about the interplay between different forces arise from the ownership. Okay, so we will see which stakeholders will have greater influence as compared to other groups of stakeholders. So then let's look at institutional theory. If we apply the perspective from institutional theory, when we analyze ownership structures, we will be more interested about the various pressure imposed from a different group. So, these contextual environments and the theoretical lens we apply will give new perspective to look into same issue. Okay, so as researchers, we must be observant and be able to identify unique characteristics so that we are well prepared and be able to react fast enough to capture new research opportunities in our areas of interest. Okay, and this new research opportunities is related to the changes in the contextual environment from time to time. From the perspective of accounting and finance, I would like to draw attention on a few areas that may offer great opportunities to maximize our research outputs with the availability of big data. Now, the big data I'm referring in my sharing here is about data which are available in the established databases. Now, using big data gives us some advantages. For example, by using big data, we are able to conduct multiple country study, which will enhance our opportunity for publication. I think some of us may have this experience. When you send your paper to a journal, the first questions that the reviewer asks you is, why you study on a single country? Why only Malaysia? Why only Indonesia? Okay, and in many instances, you have to make strong justifications on why Malaysia is so unique. Okay, and then the main concern the reviewer asks is, can you generalize your research finding? This is especially a main concern if we are doing quantitative study. Okay, and by using big data, we also can make use of more powerful statistical analysis. Okay, this is also an increasing demand for some journal. Okay, some of the journal really ask a lot of questions about the robustness of your test. Okay, by using a bigger set of data, we can enjoy these benefits. So many years ago, decades ago, only researchers from developed countries in the West have the privilege to use big data from the established databases. Researchers from developing countries, in most instances, have to handpick the data we need from many different types of sources. I think those of us who did our PhD many years ago will have this kinds of experience. It is a very painful and time-consuming process, and this really slowed down our research progress. Like one of my PhD students, he has to spend 1.5 years just to collect the data he needs. My slide is not moving. Okay. Not sure what happened. I'm so sorry because okay. All right. Now, today, most researchers have some experience in using data from established databases. This has allowed many researchers in emerging economies as well as developing countries to increase their research productivity and effectiveness in conducting research by drawing on a big set of data. In this vein, I would like to discuss a strategy that can maximize our research output by using quantitative research approach. Ladies and gentlemen, as academics and researchers, research output has become an important criteria to allow us to remain relevant in our field of study. For those of us engaging in quantitative research, one of the most common research models in particular for postgraduate PhD students is to conduct causal relationships tests using multiple regressions model. Okay, let me wait for my slide. Not happen. Okay, my slide seems not moving. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm not sure what is the problem. I'll move to my next slide. Okay, sorry. All right. Now, what I'm showing here is a typical research model, okay, for quantitative study, where we try to establish the relationship between the dependent variables and after identifying our dependent variable, which is the main research problem. our problem statement arise from this dependent variable. And from there, we try to identify the explanatory variables for this dependent variable. So we have produced a list of this independent variable. So this is a typical causal relationship model, a baseline model which tests direct relationship between the independent variable and the dependent variable. In such a direct model, we are only able to identify factors that contribute to the changes in the DV, which is the dependent variable. When data are drawn from databases, okay, these types of research model would capture less interest among journal reviewers, as this kinds of simple model is normally already well tested by other studies. Okay, so it is quite challenging to justify the new contribution from this kinds of direct model. Now, in accounting and finance, some researchers have noted the power, okay, to multiple their research efforts by leveraging on analysis on moderating and mediating effect. And this can do a magic to our research output. Okay, so in accounting and finance, moderating and mediating effect is more commonly known as interacting effect. Okay, moderating and mediating effect is widely used in management study. Okay, but this has become more and more widely adopted by researchers in accounting and finance. So a moderating variable, as depicted in this diagram, suggests that the relationship between the dependent variables and independent variable can be strengthened or weakened due to the presence of a third factor, which is known as moderating variable. Now, many students tend to be confused between moderating and mediating. A moderating effect basically changes the relationship. A moderating variable normally do not have a direct relationship with the independent variable. It is a factor which is not will not be changed by the independent variable. So let's take a simple example. Firm performance as the dependent variable, and then ownership structure as the independent variable. Okay, so we can test ownership structure and firm performance by applying type 2 agency conflict. So we use the lens of agency theory to test this type 2 conflict between ownership structure and firm performance, especially when we use family ownership. Okay, this can be a good proxy to test type 2 agency problem. And we want to look at the effect of corporate governance. So we can test independent directors. We can test other corporate governance mechanism. And this is how we can increase our productivity and also the output of our research, because by testing different set of moderating variable, you can produce different paper. So this will be a very useful strategies for students and even academics to increase their publication by applying lens from different theory. For the moderator, we can always apply different theory. For example, we can use resource-based view, okay, to introduce multiple directors as a moderator. Okay, so this, by applying this kind of model, it is not only increase our publications ability, it also will offer insights to explain why the ownership structure has a positive relationship with firm performance, okay, with the presence of this moderator. So moderating variable will be one of the important and helpful this approach to increase, okay, your or to strengthen your research framework. The other model is applying this mediating to test the mediating effect. Now, mediating effect is different from moderating because the independent variable will actually have an impact on the mediating variable. And then the mediating variable will influence the dependent variable. So let's look at this example here. Okay, I have conducted this study previously by using financial derivative. Okay, so I test how the use of financial derivative influence earnings management. And this is done through its impact on earnings volatility. So our argument in this paper is that when company use financial derivative to manage their risk, the gain or losses that they encounter from using financial derivative affect earnings volatility. Okay, so when earnings volatilities frustrate, this have an impact on the intention, on the earnings management practice. So here, the test will be slightly different from moderating, because when we test mediating, we have to test the relationship. We have to prove that there is a significant relationship between the IV, which is financial derivative, and earnings volatility, which is the mediating variable. And then we need to test the second model, which is earnings volatility and earnings management. Then finally, we have to test earnings derivative and earnings volatility as independent variable against earnings management as the dependent variable. Okay, so in the latest models by the statistical tests by preachers, we are not required to test the direct relationship between financial derivative and earnings management. Okay, but we need to test financial derivative with earnings volatility, and then another test on earnings volatility on earnings management. And finally, the third model is financial derivative plus earning volatility against earnings management. Okay, so when we introduce this third variable, either as moderating or mediating, this allows us to maximize our research output. If we have big set of data, okay, we can substitute, okay, and we can test on different kinds of factors. Like corporate governance, we will have many corporate governance factors such as gender diversity, multiple directorship, busyness of directors. Okay, then about the CEO experience or CEO characteristic. So by testing this variable using different theoretical lens, that will allow us to increase our research output. And at the same time, by using bigger data, we will also have these opportunities to do multiple country studies. Okay.
I'm sorry, Dr. Pua?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have 5 minutes left.
Yeah, okay, I'm concluding. Yeah. Thank you for the reminder. Okay,
yeah,
so
thank you.
To conclude my sharing, I would like to highlight a few of these emerging issues that has captured interest among researchers in accounting and finance. This include ESG, which is environmental, social, and governance issue. And for this topic, there are some databases that has been used by researchers from a different country, okay, to test the impact of ESG, either as IV or DV. Other emerging topics are such as innovative performance, digitalizations, and issue related to COVID pandemic. So with that, I would like to thank the conference for this opportunity to share my thoughts about this research in accounting and finance. And I wish everyone have a very fruitful conference. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Pua. It was a very nice and interesting presentations. Now we will open a question and answer sessions. So for the participant who wants to ask Dr. Pua any questions, you can raise your hand and we will unmute your speakers. Or maybe if you are too shy to ask the question, you can also write your question in the chat box and I will read it for Dr. Pua. Dr. Pua, while we are waiting for the questions from the participant, might I ask you some questions because I was interested in your research in risk management and corporate governance.
Sure.
Yes. So I have a little bit of experience in risk management for project management. But I think risk management, actually the knowledge is basic. We can apply it for like every study case, whether it's in governance or in the projects. But your specialty, is it specifically for a governance or for operation or for you are open to any research in risk management?
Okay, thank you for the questions. Well,
Yes.
For risk management, well, this is a common topics in most businesses. So a very broad perspective will be from the ERP perspective, enterprise risk management. I think this topic is well researched by operations management discipline. My colleague who conduct risk management studies from operation, they will look at ERP. Okay. But for this kinds of research, data, is a real issue because it is quite difficult to identify how, or in other words, how to measure the risk strategy. Okay.
Yeah.
So some of my colleagues apply keyword search. So this is a very basic surface kinds of investigation. They will search for keywords such as ERP, or they will fix some specific keyword as a means to identify risk management.
Yeah.
And from my experience, some of my students, will because we are I'm mainly from accounting. So our focus is more on disclosure. So for risk management, we most of the time will try to identify or measure risk from disclosure produced by company. So some countries such as Thailand, they have a specific sections called risk factor. See? So for this, when this kinds of data available, then we can apply content analysis to measure risk. Okay, but in general, I think risk management is a highly relevant issue for any discipline in management. However, our challenge is on the data that can be applied to measure risk. So, of course, we as researchers, we need to keep exploring. Okay, what are the dimension that can be used as a proxy to indicate the risk management strategies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I really agree with you, Dr. Pua, because indeed the problem management is the data. For
Yeah.
example, in project management, maybe we already makes risk list of risks in the beginning of the project, and then we have to continue updating the risk during the project. We have to identify which risk we already control and which risk already that we, for example, we move to our vendor, or yeah, I agree that that's a big homework regarding data. Yeah.
So a lot of researchers in operation management will use survey. Survey will give us primary data, okay, but the pain with survey is the response rate.
Yes, indeed. Okay. Since we didn't have any questions yet, maybe we will move the question and answer session for Dr. Fua later after our fourth speaker to speak.
Sure.
Okay, thank you very much for Dr. Fua. I will see you again later.
Yeah, so see you later. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to our second speaker, Dr. Firdaus Malik. Okay, Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik is an Indian citizen by birth, currently working as a senior research associate at Jindal Center for Global South, Jindal Global University, Sonipat, Haryana. He has graduated PhD from Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University in Lucknow, India. He holds an MPhil degree in economics from Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow, and a master's degree in economics from Kashmir University. His research area of interest is microfinance, financial inclusion, and financial literacy. He has published papers in Springer, Elsevier, Taylor Francis, and other Scopus Index journals. He has published his latest book with a Springer, titled Financial Inclusion Schemes in India. His second book is published by Notion Press on financial behavior of urban destitutes in India. His third book is published by Books Clinics, titled Asymmetry of Information and Lending Risk Livelihood Pattern of Street Vendors in India, and Shine published his forthcoming book titled Health System in Jammu and Kashmir Challenge and Opportunities. His specializations are microfinance, development economics, monetary economics, public finance, and inclusive education. For Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik, the time is yours.
Thank you very much for this kind introduction. So, am I able to share my slides? Okay. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am really very thankful for AIBPM for hosting such a wonderful conferences and making young scholars, academicians together to discuss about academia. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Today I am going to present about my recently published book with Springer by the title Financial Inclusion Schemes in India. I will put some light that what is happening in India with respect to financial inclusion and why financial inclusion is important. So, and the book description, what this book is all about, I will discuss in this slide. That this book talks about two vulnerable groups who are excluded from the financial inclusion, who are financially excluded. These two vulnerable groups are slum dwellers and beggars. Actually, this study, this book, is from my PhD, course, which I have, on which I have done my PhD. So in this study, I have tried to analyze financial inclusion index. In that financial inclusion index, I try to understand what is penetration, what is availability and usage. I have used the data set from 2006 to 2020, and the data has been taken from the World Bank. Similarly, I have tried to try to examine the financial inclusion policies with respect to India. What are the supporting policies which India has given by time? And I have tried to, take those policies which has been implemented after 2014. I try to understand what has happened to financial inclusion after 2014 onwards. So I have used questionnaire, I have used sampling, technique, simple random, and stratified random sampling for these two vulnerable groups. This book highlights the difference between financial access and financial non-access of the household respondents in capturing the impact of financial inclusion on their socio-economic conditions and financial behavior. This book also highlighted the performance of financial inclusion index of these vulnerable populations that are slum dwellers and beggars by examining the recent financial inclusion scheme which has been implemented after 2014. The overall findings of this book is that these schemes are having very limited impact on these vulnerable populations. What government is claiming at the ground, they are not grounded in the reality. There is a huge gap. So this book demonstrated that these programs have a negligible effect on life deprived people. Those are slum dwellers and beggars. This book is unique in presenting the financial inclusion position of India while analyzing the access and impact pattern of financial inclusion schemes of such disadvantaged population. So this book will be, very interesting for academia, policymakers, and society at large. This is a brief about the book, as we are having limited time, but I will, try to make, greater emphasis. What are the takeaways of this book? So this book is actually, divided into 7 chapters. The first chapter is introduction. The second chapter is discussing theories and their relevance with respect to financial inclusion. The third chapter is impact of financial inclusion and status of financial inclusion in India. This chapter is totally based on the secondary data. The fourth chapter is social economic concerns and pattern of access and non-access in recent financial inclusion schemes to poorest of the poor. The fifth chapter discusses about these recent financial inclusion schemes which has been taking place in India and try to understand how these schemes have changed the socio-economic status of these vulnerable poor. Lastly, the sixth chapter, which is the main chapter, it discusses impact on socio-economic and financial behavior. And the seventh chapter is giving us the policy recommendations, how these policies can be improved. So without wasting my time, I will go to the chapter one. Chapter one just gives about literature, methodology, discuss the scope of the problem. So are my slides are visible to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So research questions. What are the research questions which I have taken in this study? I have tried to understand what financial inclusion is all about. What do we mean by financial inclusion? Then the second counter question, I have tried to understand how to measure this financial inclusion. Then the third very important question is I have tried to understand what is the position of the financial inclusion in India. And the fourth question I have tried to understand or answer, can we achieve 100% financial inclusion? Is it possible or not? Then the fifth question is, how is financial access among slum dwellers and beggars in India? To check how inclusive are recent financial inclusion. And these are the core objectives I have already discussed. Let me skip this. So then the scope of this scope of this study. In India, after 1947, India got independence. From that very time, we are having so many thousands and thousands of welfare programs and schemes to elevate the problem of poverty, to help the marginalized, population, to lower down the poverty rates. This study is one of the unique studies because it is trying to explore, it has tried to explore two marginal urban groups who are slum dwellers and beggars who have been excluded by the policymakers and government till date. So this study tried to understand, tried to investigate five major policies which government of India has implemented, that is Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Mudra Yojana, PMSBY Yojana, PMJJBY Yojana, and PM. These all schemes are related to financial inclusion, to check the performance with respect to these urban vulnerable groups who are slum dwellers, who are beggars. This study also investigates what is the difference between supply and demand constraints of these policies, what these policies and schemes are giving as a supply, but what the demand of these vulnerable groups is there. So this is the scope of this study. Then I have made this book with respect to three core objectives. The first objective is I have tried to understand those people who are having financial inclusion access and those who are not having financial inclusion access, what is their status. And then the second counter objective of the book is that I have tried to understand socio-economic conditions of these poor people with respect to financial inclusion scheme. Then the third was, what is the impact of these schemes on these people? So the methodology, I will, briefly explain what methods and techniques I have used in my methodology. This study was based on both primary and secondary data. I have used both qualitative and quantitative data. I have used two sampling techniques, simple random sampling in case of beggars and stratified random sampling in case of slum dweller. The data collection has been, collected through questionnaire, study area where Lucknow city and Calcutta city, two popular cities of India. The sample population, beggars and slum dwellers. Sources of data has been taken from field survey, RBI, Reserve Bank of India, and World Bank. Research methods and techniques which I have used descriptive statistics, histogram, pie chart, chi-square test. I have constructed financial inclusion index, financial literacy index, financial attitude index, financial knowledge index, and I have used regression models, dummy regression models, and MANOVA models. So these are the locations how I have chosen the sample size. So then the second chapter, it is discussing about theories of financial inclusion. This chapter is actually divided into four sections, and it discusses about income, saving, and other determining factors, how these vulnerable populations are determined on these key variables. The section 2 talks about individual perspective and their relevance of the financial inclusion. That is how an individual deals with financial inclusion. The third section discusses about sociological perspective, and fourth chapter draws on light on institutional factors. The keywords of this chapter is institutional perspective, income savings, sociological perspective, and institutional factor. So what is the conclusion of this second chapter? This chapter discusses about that poor people are saving very less. It has been explained by theoretically. Why they are saving less? Because of socio-economic and psychological and institutional factors. Institutional factors because there is supply mismatch. Institutions are giving some policy, but it is not relevant as per the demands of this vulnerable population. Financial education and financial incentives can help these poor people to save more. Institutional exclusion is one of the problems because banks are having hardcore rules and regulations, which these very poor people are not able to, able to follow. And these poor people are always remaining in the poverty trap because of the institutional exclusion. Saving behavior defined by socio-economic conditions as well as institutional barrier. So therefore, these people, when they see these policies and schemes that they are not, as per their demands, they are, they are discouraged to, be participate in financial inclusion. So then the third chapter, it discusses the secondary data, position, macro level position of overall India. This data has been taken from Reserve Bank of India from 2005 to 2006 and World Bank. I have tried to, segregate this data into two domains from 2005 to 2006 to 2014. I have tried to understand what has happened before 2014 and what has happened after 2014 onward. Because after 2014 onward, these five bunch of financial inclusion schemes has been implemented, especially for the vulnerable and financially excluded populations to help them to elevate their poverty. For this, I have used dummy regression model to understand what is the impact of these schemes. So this is overall about this chapter. I have used financial inclusion index, which has used by Mandana Sharma, very famous, academician. Then by implementing this financial inclusion index, what I found that uh, yeah, India is having the financial inclusion at the position of the first level, 0.0 to 0.4. It indicates low financial inclusion. After that, I have used this dummy regression model. This section, identifies that from 2006 to 2000 onwards. So what I found from this model, this is the model regression model. I have tried to understand high index of financial inclusion, how it is, reflecting overall performance between these 2 years. So I found only 11% of improvement in financial inclusion index. So it is a positive index. So the output results of this regression model shows that financial inclusion is having 11% change after 2014 onwards because of these policies. But then I have raised a question that is it really possible to have a big improvement in financial inclusion index due to all these schemes? To answer this question, I have taken this question in the next chapter. So as time is limited, I will give you a brief sketch of all the chapters. The chapter 4 then it discusses about socio-economic conditions of these vulnerable populations. The objective of this chapter was to check those who are having access to financial inclusion, how their socio-economic conditions are, and those who do not have financial inclusion access, how their socio-economic conditions are. So we try to understand the socio-economic background, how it is explaining financial access, and how it is not explaining the financial access. The findings of this chapter has shown that those who are having access, they are better in socio-economic conditions. So let me take you to the model. We have used hypothesis testing. If you try to look at this slide, so I have seen that only two variables, gender and occupation, are not significant variables in determining the financial access. The rest all these variables, education, having documents to open the bank account, age of a person, income of a person, and economic status of the person, they are highly significant and playing important role to have financial access. So I have used it here, dummy this, but I have used it here binary logistic regression model. I try to understand that how this access and non-access is explaining these, demographic variables, gender, education, occupation, income, cost, and documents. So the results are same as in the hypothesis testing of, that gender and occupation are insignificant. Rest all these variables are playing significant role in having the access. So what are the findings from this model? That banking access among slum dwellers, the slum population is only 17%, and beggars, they are least having back-end development. So these are the reasons. Let us skip it and let us move to further. So the conclusion of this chapter are that poor people are not indifferent in comparison to other social groups, which means that poor people are having demands and desires just like normal middle income family group. Poor people also want their children to get better education. They also dream like us. They want good houses. They want good clothes. They want have a luxurious life just like other people are having. They dream about good food. They should then, therefore, government should support them need-based financial products as per their circumstances. They need overall development. They need banking infrastructure developed to provide them financial products as at a sustainable rate to support them as per their poverty. What is the problem in the banking system? They are providing the banking products, and those banking products are not reliable to these vulnerable groups. They need something unique, something different. They need, for example, loan of 100 rupee, but it is not available with the bank. So therefore, these are the some take out away of this point. Then the core chapter, financial inclusion schemes and how it has changed socio-economic conditions of these vulnerable poor. This chapter discusses all about it. So in this chapter, we have constructed certain indexes like financial inclusion index, socio-economic index, financial behavior index, financial attitude index, financial knowledge index. Then we have used it in this very chapter two regression model to check the statistical inferences. The overall findings of this chapter is shows that financial inclusion is poised to impact on socio-economic conditions of the people, and financial inclusion is not limited to only bank account. So let me go quickly to this hypothesis testing. If you try to look here, that this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana PMJDY, because people are mostly from outside India. This is the short form PMJDY, Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. It is a scheme which guarantees free of cost bank account to the vulnerable population, especially they are targeting the women. So here we are trying to understand that there is not any significant change in socio-economic conditions of these poor people after implementation of PMJDY. So what we have understood that how these socio-economic variables is explaining having this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. These red three bullets, occupation, persons with disability, and assets of the household, they do not play any role to have this Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan account, free of cost account or zero base account. Rest all these education, income, type of house, drinking water facility, and other these socio-economic conditions, they are playing significant role to have this bank account. Sorry. So I have pushed constructed socio-economic index. It is based on 13 variables. If you try to look at here, it is based on 13 variables. I have taken the minima and maxima score. After that, I have I have developed this this index. So from this index, what are the results? That the slum dwellers in both the cities, they record only 57% of this the socio-economic condition. Their socio-economic index is 57%. Similarly, the other. So I will skip it because time is very limited. I have to cover much more things. Then I have used this regression model. I have tried to look how socio-economic index is explaining having a bank account, banking access. So the results are that it explains having a bank account explains or plays a role. It explains the socio-economic conditions by 6%. Those who are having bank account, it impacts almost 6% in their socio-economic conditions. So then I have tried to calculate financial inclusion and financial literacy. Here I have taken 3 questions. On the basis of these 3 questions, I have calculated this financial literacy index. So the overall result shows that the financial attitude of these people is very less, 0.98. So it means less than 1%. Then I have calculated financial behavior with respect to 4 questions I have asked here. So let me skip it quickly because we have to move to cover. Then financial knowledge index. These are the parameters of financial inclusion. Then I have overall I have consolidated the financial literacy index. On the basis of financial literacy index, I have clubbed financial attitude, financial knowledge, and financial behavior. So the financial literacy index in a collective approach of attitude, behavior, and knowledge, it represents 68%, which means 0.32% are irrational in financial behavior. They do not know they do not know the real sense of this money management, financial inclusion, it is usages, awareness, and so on. So they are irrational towards financial decisions. Then I have used again the model how financial inclusion index is explaining financial inclusion index. So under this model, so the results are that it is explaining negatively. Financial inclusion index is explaining negatively the socioeconomic index. So here the critical question raises that in the initial chapter, I was explaining that financial access is playing significant role to determine the socioeconomic conditions, but here it is vice versa. To answer this, question, I will, discuss it. That as these, populations are vulnerable, why these, why it has happened against? It has happened against because these populations are having hardly bank account, and bank account hardly determines the financial inclusion index. Financial inclusion index is the name of a spectrum of financial services. It doesn't belong only to have a bank account. So therefore, it shows a negative relationship between having this financial access with respect to socioeconomic conditions with respect to these populations. It is not about the general population of the India. Then the sixth chapter, it tries to explain that what is the impact of these schemes on socio-economic and financial inclusion models. We have tried to understand the income and expenditure mismatch of these vulnerable populations with respect to those who are having access and those who do not have access. Then we have used the MANOVA model. As time is very short, let me go to the discussion only. So I will try to. It is very important section. I will try to make you understand that how these people are suffering. I have tried to understand that what is their income and what is their expenditure. Are they meeting their income and expenditure? So in general, these populations are lacking income and expenditure mismatch. Wait on. Sorry, give me 1 second. Yeah. Yeah, so I have tried to generate. So I have found that these slum dwellers, they are lacking almost 25% of their income to fulfill their expenditures. Then in the next, I have tried to understand those who are having financial inclusion access and those who do not have financial access, how they are different each other. Those who are having financial access, they lack only 24% of their income to fulfill their expenditure. And those who do not have access, they lack almost 25%. So then in case of beggars, they lack almost 38%. They lack 38% of their income to fulfill their expenditure. So similarly, access and non-access, so minus 28% and 38%. So it shows the impact that these people are lacking their basic income to fulfill their basic expenditures like bread, butter, and so on. Then I have used chi-square test. Now let me finish in few seconds. I have used binary logistic regression. I have used the model MANOVA model. So before going to the MANOVA model, I have used financial access index. I have used the financial access index, which is composite of 4 questions. 4 questions I have asked. Then I have taken the minima and maximum. So on the basis of this technique, then I have used this multivariate analysis model in which I am having 3 dependent variables: financial behavior, annual income, and annual expenditure. And financial access is independent variable. So the findings of this study: financial access has shown a positive relationship with income. Those who are having financial access are bound to have better income group. Financial access holders. So is there any problem? Hello, am I having time or there is some?
No. Please, maybe the
Yeah, yeah.
can mute some of your speakers.
Yeah, financial access has shown a positive relationship with income. Those who are having access, they might be from the good background, good income group. Financial access holders are better than non-financial access, but financial access is not a sufficient. It is really disturbing. Can you mute him? Yeah, thank you very much. So financial access reflects the better financial access of the people attending a greater number of working days, in compared to non-access holders. So I am here discussing that those who are having financial access, they are working a lot, because I am talking those vulnerable groups who are very poor. So financial access holders are better in position to non-access holders with respect to the number of working days. Moreover, we find people who have financial access are doing more expenditure. The hypothetical finding shows that there is not existing any relationship between financial access or and income of slum dwellers. Financial access and type of remuneration are indifferent. Financial access and number of working days is indifferent. So therefore, these are the overall findings I have, explained it in them before, that these people lacking minus 25% of their income to fulfill their expenditures, and in case of beggars, they are shortage of 38% of their income to fulfill their current expenditure. So from this model, the Manova model shows that most of the families are managing their budget themselves. People are taking financial help from informal sources and are far from formal banking system. The financial access has an insignificant effect on financial behavior, income, and expenditure. So this is the Manova model. Let me go to this. Policy recommendations of this book is that financial inclusion among the poor be developed by emphasizing three key dimensions, which are the dimensions of this financial inclusion: penetration, availability, and usage. Moreover, the gap arose due to digitalization because of COVID-19. There is an increasing innovation, increasing access towards digital gadgets. Digitalization has increased but these poor people are unable to use this digitalization in a meaningful way towards financial inclusion. So they need to develop skills among the poor people so that they can use financial inclusion service easily. Access to financial inclusion schemes among poor people in India demonstrate to redevelop these policies which have guaranteed access. But at ground, they are, telling the different story. So therefore, we need to redefine these schemes, these programs, so that they can be demand oriented. They can fulfill the demands of these people. Financial inclusion is not the name of the bank account. It is a spectrum which should talk about socio-economic conditions of these vulnerable population. It should address at a time human development index. It should also talk about financial inclusion index. It should also, put light on multi-poverty index and health index. So financial inclusion is only possible to have host to these things. You cannot ask poor people that to have a bank account he is financially included. So to have his human development index, to have him health index, health performance, health health variable should be post developed. Then only we can say that his socio-economic conditions are better because of financial inclusion. To deliver financial inclusion services to the poor people, need of the need of home-based awareness is to fulfill their financial literacy related schemes, usage and benefits. We should aware them. Financial inclusion should also made to target as well develop sustainable behavior among these people. Formal banking institutions to develop more models to ensure safe and sustainable banking services. So sorry, I think I am not able to, move this. Yeah, this is the limitation because these populations are very, marginal. They don't have too much understanding about these, products and schemes. So sample size was too much, small to generalize the overall result. Some of the results may be spurious because they are, unaware about the, policies, and respondents may be, playing a bias role. One more problem of this study is that we do not have any official reports or data on these vulnerable populations in India. So now the important question as a researcher, as a PhD scholar, once they are finishing the study, then there arises a question: what is the how this study has added to the world of the scientific knowledge, and how it will be helpful for the policymakers and the general public? To answer this question, that this study is the first-hand investigation in India to check the excess of recent financial inclusion scheme, so that the study contribute to that ultra poor people does not need institutional participation for granted. They need products suitable for them as per their capacity banking participation of poor does not work until and unless we have policies and programs which guarantee to collapse, to finish the problem of poverty and make all-round development in all spheres of life among these vulnerable poor people. So
Okay.
by finishing the Chinese quote, let me finish in 1 minute. Giving a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. So we should not provide poor people food and other this suitable products for granted. For example, in Corona we have given donations and all. So they need everyday food. So we should develop in them in skill so that they can feed themselves for a lifetime. So thank you very much. Destitute and dream of the financial inclusion. The poor cities poor not because they are lazy, but because they have access to capital. Milton Friedman. Questions are welcome. Thank you very much for this time.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik. Actually, it was a very exciting presentation as financial inclusion is very important because, well, Indonesia is also an emerging companies like India. So we also need to increase our financial inclusions. So, well, actually, the time is already up, but I see one hand is raised. So we will unmute Prince Charles, and you can ask question directly to Dr. Firdaus. Please, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you so much, moderator. Good day, Mr. Firdaus.
Thank you very much.
I'm Charles from Hairon University. I'm very excited to receive your presentation. Exactly, I'm very interested in talking about poverty in India. But
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken, your just now you say about your research or your book, I still confused. Is it your research? You make a book and you explain it about financial inclusion and your connection with poverty in Indonesia. Besides that, I see just now that you explain about slum and poverty in India. Can you make it clear because I still confused about that? Thank you so much.
Yeah. Actually, this book is about financial inclusion in India, and this book has taken two populations who belong to India: slum dwellers and beggars. I have tried to understand, tried to explore financial inclusion schemes which are given by India government. I have tried to understand what is the access of these vulnerable populations, slum dwellers and beggars. I have explored their financial inclusion. And in one of the chapter, I have captured the financial inclusion of the country at macro level. So hope I have answered your question. If you are having any counter question, please, I am here to answer. Hello, is there any more question? Hello.
Okay, is there any more question? And Prince Charles, did you satisfied with Dr. Firdaus Ahmad's answers? Is that enough for you? Okay, thank you. Then maybe can I ask you just one question, Dr. Firdaus?
Yes,
So-
please. I happy to receive more questions. I want to make it more representative presentation.
Yeah. Okay, so actually, I have no sufficient knowledge about financial inclusion, but I am interested. Why did you choose the slum dwellers and beggars as a sample for your research? Because I think that is a very extreme conditions to put in a research about financial inclusions.
Yes, it is very very important question. I have received this question very first time, but I was preparing for this question long a time.
Yeah.
So actually, what is the meaning of financial inclusion? Financial inclusion is talking about those people who are one or other reason, not not in the mainstreaming public policies, especially banking. So financial inclusion means that those people who are not using banking services, they are excluded because of one reason or other reason, to include them. So these populations, slum dwellers and beggars, they are the you know greater beneficiaries to take them into the city and explain their financial inclusion. These are the very underprivileged, most disadvantaged poverty groups. So let us try to understand these people are extremely financially excluded. They are doing these financial these financial services from informal money lenders and so on. So therefore I took these two populations to understand how government of India is representing these populations towards mainstreaming toward them into the banking. Unbanked population, these are the most suitable samples of unbanked population to make them include towards financial inclusion. So I thought these are the most important populations to talk about them, what has happened to them. Financial inclusion overall talks about growth and development. If you get financial inclusion, it contributes growth and development. So let us talk about these marginal populations who are in poverty, how they has been improved because of these you know policies. That is why I have taken the keen interest to take these vulnerable population groups to understand them, how their position has been developed after implementation of these financial inclusion scheme, when it is the world of 21st century, talking about digitalization, talking about financial services, talking about data, how these poor have shifted or improved over the time. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that is a very nice to know. Yeah, I agree that we should do more effort to make the poorer knows more about the financial literacy. So for those participants who still have questions for Dr. Firdaus, we will open other question and answer session after the last keynote speakers. Thank you very much for your presentation, and we will meet again soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
So, ladies and gentlemen, now we move to our third keynote speaker, Dr. Nehal L. Nagar. Dr. Nehal has been working as a researcher, academic instructor and advisor, and also business and management consultant. She has been teaching both the undergraduate and graduate students in various national and international universities in Egypt. She has been actively involved in assisting and supervising postgraduate students, both on the master's and doctorate level. Dr. El Nagar is currently an assistant professor at the Royal University for Women in Bahrain. For Dr. Nehal El Nagar, the time is yours.
So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh once more. So, I'm Dr. Nehal Nagar from Bahrain, from the Royal University for Women. Of course, it's a great honor and privilege to be here today with you. Of course, I owe thanks and gratitude to the president of the conference, conference chair, and the aibpm BPM, and of course, dear colleagues, researchers, professors, academics, and students. So I was so happy to come third. Actually, we had the pleasure of both keynote speaker speeches and presentations, which basically gave me a nice introduction to my own presentation. Let me share my presentation today. And I thought so much about what would be the topic for today's presentation. What should I speak about? And of course, introducing new ideas and relevant topics for research for both academics and students is always important, and it's needed. However, the empirical research and applied research, as well as Dr. Firdaus just shared with us, is again an eye-opener. So the topic of today's research, let me highlight the importance of entrepreneurship and startup here in the GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council countries. Being in Bahrain for the past 7 years gave me a nice exposure to startups and entrepreneurship businesses and the strong and increasing ecosystem here in Bahrain and the GCC countries. I have been actually we missed a little bit of introduction here. So I'm the director of the Office of Student Life at the university, as well as the business professor. So I come across a lot of new ideas, new innovations, and students participating in different activities and competitions, which again is really interesting. By the day, you see the development of new startups and seeing the startup intention, as we can see in today's topic. And we have the pleasure of having my research partner and keynote speaker as well, Mr. Jalal Nasser, who is the chairperson of the Bahrain Statistical Society here in Bahrain. And of course, I'm an expat here, so I thought we should get a taste of the country we're in. And he has a great contribution when it comes to statistical analysis and the development of the research model and the different elements, especially when it comes to this evidence that we have used in this research, which is coming from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. And the data sets used in this renowned and prominent report when it comes to startups and entrepreneurship. And before we start, I wanted to share with you, I don't know if you can just go to the Slido. We want to see a little bit of Paul about the topic and understanding of the topic. It's nice to see the understanding of, or the perception of the monitor and the entrepreneurship intention within our audience. So let me share with you, I'll stop sharing this screen and I'll share with you the Slido so all of us can look at the stop share. I'll share another screen, which is basically the Slido. So if you started already looking at the entering the poll, so all of us can see the findings, because I'm looking forward to looking at this is the poll. So can you see the poll? So interestingly, so present. So I see lots of responses, which is really interesting. So can you see my screen? Interesting. So we can see over here that we have 85% of the audience. They're increasing. Basically, this is only 27 of the respondents. So let's look at the rest of the responses if we can. So we're not having more responses. Can we have more responses? Can we move to the... Okay, let's see. So are you aware of the entrepreneurship intention? Have you come across the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor? This is the second question. Amazing, amazing. Have you come across the theory of planned behavior? Okay, interesting. Is it there? Okay. Nice.
Yes.
I love those tools, huh? Don't you? Okay, and actually we're having different statistics. So this is just to give you a taste about, again, the topic that we're going to discuss again today. So our topic for today is basically determinants of the startup intention in the GCC, in the Gulf region, and evidence from the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. So this is the agenda, the different topics, and basically it's about the increasing number of startups here in Bahrain and the GCC. However, I would like to shed light on the importance of using international indicators, global and regional reports for all researchers. I believe all of you are currently doing that, but of course, seeing young researchers, future researchers, is always interesting to look at whatever is happening, whatever has been published in this regard. In this research, basically, we looked at 3 GCC countries, and we'll elaborate. So basically, we have Saudi, we have UAE, and Qatar. And this was because one reason that basically this was the most recent published data and indicators and different reports, countries included in the latest published report. And we wanted to look at the intention. So basically, there was a previous study in 2020 in India. It served the same purpose of our research, and that's why we did a replica of that research. It has been based on the theory of planned behavior, which is basically used to based on the Adult Population Survey (APS), which is one of the most important indicators of the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor. The report that we did the analysis on was published in 2016, and the different dimensions basically we're looking at the attitude towards entrepreneurship, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control. And one might think that, like regionally or within the GCC, or maybe in one region, most of the population would react the same. However, of course, with different factors, and some that we studied within this research actually highlighted some major and interesting differences and findings. Again, I would like to just share with you that this research has been conducted 1 year back, and the extended abstract was shared with the Cyrus Institute of Knowledge in 2021. So again, entrepreneurs, of course, they contribute highly to the economies, and of course, they became an interesting topic of research and academia. The promotion of startups has become one of the key focuses, even like from public and private entities, and a lot of governments and ecosystems are really supporting and interested and following their evolution. National startups ecosystems, again, growing and getting stronger. And there is a lot of literature starting in 2000s and a bit earlier. And we have a lot of cognitive behavioral variables and understanding the personal decision were highlighted within the literature in 2004 and even in 1999. However, there was no study found that investigated the theory of planned behavior per se. And of course, let me highlight that this was back in 2021. We might find few over the years, or maybe immediately after this conference. Would love to see a lot of research in this area. However, looking at the behavioral effects on startup intention in the GCC. And again, the GEM data sets are used at usually at the descriptive level, and not inferentially that performs binary logistic regression, which was included in this research. As for the adopted research, it studied, or the study, basically it focused on the theory of planned behavior factors in India. And here the entrepreneurial intention is defined basically as the conscious state of mind that precedes action and directs attention toward entrepreneurial behaviors such as starting a new business and becoming an entrepreneur. Here, the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, again, apparently most of you already know it. However, it's a consortium of national country teams primarily associated with top academic institutions. They do a very structured survey-based research on entrepreneurship around the world. With over 500 researchers, they have research teams for each country. And they began like over the past 23 years, and it began in 1999 as a joint project between Babson College in the US and London Business School. The GEM runs at as a national expert survey and looking at the national context, which I really appreciate, because you know what, like previously, some of the United Nations indicators, they relied maybe on different sources that were not reliable, were not indicative to the actual performance or the actual state of the country on any topic, and sometimes some of the data were outdated. So usually this caused a lower ranking of different countries in previous or like old reports. Now the methodology is different, and now we take accountability of our national data, and we try to present each country like reflect the actual activities and the actual state from credible sources. So research groups or research through national experts. Here, it started with the intention to measure the differences of entrepreneurial activities among countries, reflecting sectors and gender involvement. And here we're looking at individual entrepreneurs, as we have another level within the survey. So the adult population survey, providing analysis on the characteristics, motivations, and ambitions of individuals starting businesses, as well as social attitudes towards entrepreneurship. So again, having those characteristics of an entrepreneur, sometimes you might be still working within an organization, but you have entrepreneurial intention. So again, I want to start my business, but I'm still an employee within an organization, public or private. So again, these were some of the factors that we wanted to understand, and we looked at total early stage entrepreneurial activities. So here we're looking at the different stage, on which stage of the entrepreneurial activities and on which level of maturity are you, and looking at the ecosystem dynamic investigation as well, to look at the overall country scores. In this, of course, there are 6 GCC countries. However, 3 countries were in GEM until 2016, 5 countries until 2021, and unfortunately, Bahrain is still not included in the GEM. We're still working on the national research team. However, hopefully we will look into that. But we tried to do individual research on entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship intentions, but not following the GEM yet in Bahrain. So these are some of the variables, some of the understandings about the components and the constructs used within the study. So the startup intention, so basically it's the new startup efforts. And these are some of the questions. Are you alone or with others expecting to start a business? So again, individually or in the form of different ownership structures. The attitude toward entrepreneurship, so again, the degree to which a person has a favorable or unfavorable intention of starting a new venture, subjective norm concerning entrepreneurship, indicating the social pressure an individual face while starting a new business or entrepreneurial venture, perceived behavioral concern concerning to entrepreneurship, comprises the different factors related to the ability of individuals and ease of starting business in the country of study. And allow me to share my screen or share the floor with my research partner, Mr. Jalal Nasser, who would he was generous enough to join us today. So to introduce the framework of this research.
So basically, you can see the arrows which are going from the independent variables, and thanks to Dr. Pua for illustrating that earlier in her keynote talk. So startup intention in our research is the dependent variable. There are 3 independent variables, namely from the theory of planned behavior. And we added also a moderator factor, or let's say a moderator set of factors, which are demographic profiles that we thought they will have differences on startup intention alone. So in total, we have 4 hypotheses to be tested using the GEM dataset for 3 countries. Now, the first hypothesis is related to, is there a demographic effect on startup intention? Second one, is there an influence between positive attitude toward entrepreneurship and startup intention? The third hypothesis was subjective norms concerning entrepreneurship. Is it related to startup intention? And finally, the fourth hypothesis was, is there a relationship or is there an effect between perceived behavior control concerning entrepreneurship and startup intention? Again, we used the dataset from 2016. So things might change in the recent years. However, GEM makes available the datasets after 3 years of the survey year. Now, this is a secondary research. We did use the APS data. The total number of studied variables were 11, and we had 6 demographic variables taken from the GEM questionnaire. Descriptive statistics was performed, and you will see shortly the results. The hypotheses were tested using binary logistics regression in addition to chi-square. So we're starting with the descriptive analysis first, and then the inferential level. At the bottom of this slide, we're summarizing the regression model. So on the left side, SI represents the startup intention. And then you can see the demographic variables included age, gender, family size, education, work status, income, and then the 3 variables from the theory of planned behavior, ATE, we're abbreviating the first one, which is attitude toward entrepreneurship, social norm, SM, and finally, the perceived behavior control. Startup intention was 35.7% as a total for the 3 countries. However, there were variations between each country and the other, as you can see in the slide. Now, going to the chi-square to test whether or not there is a relation or there is an influence of the demographic variables on the startup intention, this is the summary of the results. So out of the total number of demographic variables, all of them were having a statistically significant relationship with startup intention, except working status, whether you are working full-time or part-time, compared to not working at all, compared to being retired or student. Okay. So that's the hypothesis, the first one. Now, going to the 3 remaining hypotheses, this is the summary. Out of the 3 theory of planned behavior determinants, we have found statistical significance for 2 of them, namely the subjective norm and the perceived behavior control toward entrepreneurship. We were not able to find a sufficient statistical evidence for supporting a relationship from attitude toward entrepreneurship and startup intention. Now, keep these in mind. We will be formulating conclusions and recommendations about them shortly. So basically, the discussion, and then I'll pass to Dr. Nihal. Startup intention in GCC was higher compared to India. Another discussion point is statistical significance of gender and age in GCC countries was more significant than gender and age in India study. The third point of discussion, the effect of family size, education, and working status in GCC were similar with India. The demographic control variables effect of both family size and income in GCC were almost the same with India. However, and this is very important research point, I think, for many of you, it's a new research direction, if you will call it. Gender was negatively affecting startup intention in India, which means women were having more or higher startup intention compared to males. It was the opposite in GCC. In GCC, men were having higher startup intention compared to women. It's very interesting. We've got this opposite direction in GCC. And again, I'm referring to Dr. Pua, where she suggested the big data and the utilization of established statistical databases and how to go and research across countries where journals and reviewers of potential research articles would love to see this rich analysis across countries. Completing with the remaining 2 points of discussion, age, education, and working status in India was higher and more significant than what we have found in GCC. Lastly, in India, individuals are more likely to start a new business where less than 30 years old of age, within post-secondary and above education level, and those who works full-time. Dr. Nihal, for the remaining of the discussion.
So why we were eager to share the contribution of statistics and the contribution of technical aspects and looking at data from different perspectives. Again, joint research is important, and this is a living example. Doing research across countries is important before I follow up with the discussion. And another thing, we have to to collaborate with different expertise and different backgrounds and different cultures, even especially with cross cultures or cross-country discussions and research. So here, when we looked at the 3 determinants, basically we found that findings were very much similar to India in both subjective norms and perceived behavior, with a positive effect. However, there was no statistical significance found with regard to attitude towards entrepreneurship, while India's study found there has been a positive effect. And we are looking forward to conduct the study in Bahrain. And why is that? Because in Bahrain we have the strategic the strategic plan and the strategy for the country, which is Bahrain Strategy 2030. And we have women empowerment is really high. The women contribution in entrepreneurship, it's not because me as a woman or representing the Royal University for Women, where I see a lot of potential. However, on the country level, we can see a lot of females having their own startups and businesses. So we're so eager to find the findings and reflect those findings from statistical data and from the actual, to reflect the actual situation in Bahrain. When performing the logistic regression on each country separately, here we had Saudi Arabia, both subjective norms concerning entrepreneurship and perceived behavior control towards entrepreneurship were found significant. For United Arab Emirates only, attitude towards entrepreneurship, while in Qatar, the attitude towards entrepreneurship and perceived behavioral control towards entrepreneurship were found significantly affecting startup intentions. And again, maybe the intensity, maybe the size of the country, the length of the entrepreneurship focus, and sometimes the government support and supporting policies, and of course the ecosystem maturity and integration level. And of course, like they are all booming, God bless, not only in the GCC around the world. However, of course, there are variations that are worth investigating. Here we utilized, of course, the big data and the GEM data set for the 3 countries. The level of startup intention in the GCC was found higher in India. And again, we can always consider the size and the dispersion of the population. Demographics differentiate the level of startup intention in the GCC significantly. And here, again, startup intention level by females is lower than males, but I actually challenge this statement because again we relied on like not the most recent data of the report of the GEM data, so probably we have to like again this is a very interesting area for current and future research to analyze the data, because changes, especially in this area, has been very dynamic and very quick and vast. So we are interested to look at the results as we speak. The theory of planned behavior factors effect on startup intentions were assessed. However, they were found to have positive effects, the subjective norms and perceived behavior control, and it actually varied between the 3 countries. Subjective norms were almost found 2 times more likely to influence the startup intentions, and individuals with self-efficacy in terms of knowledge, skills, and experience and perceiving ease of starting business are 1.3 times more likely to get involved in the startups. We had few recommendations on different levels for policymakers to consider the demographic effect factor. Of course, considering the gender gap, but I think again with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and the different initiatives, they're trying to reach some sort of an equality or proper representation of both genders among different industries. More effects towards women empowerment and startup support. And again, I need to salute the country initiatives and the government support for women here in Bahrain. Policies in effect should be reviewed in line with subjective norms and perceived behavior control findings. And again, maybe more training programs on different skills, maybe vocational training and some knowledge that are required to achieve higher self-efficacy for different individuals. As for startups, again, they are highly recommended to be connected, and to follow the different endeavors done by the ecosystem. So again, lessons learned and sharing the success stories. And actually we try to do that even on the academic level. We always try to invite those entrepreneurs and maybe different experts as speakers to share their experiences with students, undergrad, especially undergrad and grad students, so they can see how actually those dreams were realized and those startups, whatever they have done in order to reach their objectives and aims and to reach such successful levels. As for the different members of the ecosystem, again, to provide more information on the stakeholders of entrepreneurship ecosystem who can help and assist various startups, because again, we might find different initiatives, and usually you find that in larger countries, maybe not here in Bahrain, but you might find different on local levels or localities, you might find different smaller initiatives even from the government, but they are not well integrated, they don't talk to each other, they don't connect the different initiatives together, or even the entrepreneurs and startups. And again, one of the Sustainable Development Goals is more about partnerships. So maybe if they partner together, they can reach a different level of maturity or share their expertise without reinventing the wheels. Future research, again, there's a limitation, of course, because of the old data, but of course, we are eager to conduct it, and maybe other researchers to conduct it on the most recent report. Again, we are looking at the rest of the GCC countries. Kuwait already has been included in the recent version of the GEM to investigate the effect of demographic variables individually, and to look at the new inclusion and equality policies and how would it affect the startup intention. To study the effect of COVID-19, of course, of the overall entrepreneurship ecosystems. And honestly, like I believe we and in academia, we have pushed our students, and we as researchers, we have done a lot of COVID-19 research, but again, maybe some of them can be looked into directly with regard to ecosystems and the intentions during that time. or maybe post-pandemic strategies and the evolution, to use other statistical techniques such as a structural equation model to study the effect of a theory of planned behavior and others. Please find our contact information over here. And on behalf of Dr. Jalal, if I can ask him, maybe he can invite some of your researchers for the Bahrain Statistical Societies. We have like annual, like monthly presentations of research or ongoing research, both on the graduate and academic levels. So again, we would love to have more exposure and more access to research going throughout, like around the world, and share it here in Bahrain. Of course, in person would always be a plus, but if we cannot have it in person, so at least we get together online. And this is the end of our presentation today, and wish you all the best, and thanks again for the organizers and the chairperson and the president, and of course for the moderator with us today, and the fellow keynote speakers and researchers. Thank you, and wish you all the best to all our researchers throughout the 2 days conference, and wish you all the best. I don't know if you have any questions. I would love to see you. Let me see the chat box. Ms. Intan, I can't hear you. Are you speaking? I can't hear you.
Oh, yes. Sorry, Dr. Nehal. Just a little bit of technical problem. Oh, and please also say thanks to Dr. Jalal for coming to our presentation. Hello. Thank you for explaining the research. It was quite interesting about the startups. As we know, the startup is already happening in all around the world, and that's including in Indonesia. Maybe I don't know if in the future, but if I'm interested in doing some research about the startups, maybe can I contact you and Dr. Nehal?
By all means.
Sure.
By all means.
We're here to help.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I have one raised hand, but it's from Dr. Firdaus Malik. Of course, please, Dr. Firdaus Malik, for your questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Am I audible?
Thank you, Dr. Firdaus. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It is early morning now. It is, going good. It was pretty cold, 3 degrees. Now it is, improving. So I have, heard, and it was a wonderful learning today from your presentation. But I am having one common question, that how Bahrain and India are in line with respect to the startups and entrepreneurship, how they are dealing and how different they are. So, yeah, thank you very much.
I would say if we will use GEM as one common methodology, unfortunately, Bahrain did not do the GEM. But from our observations, from our research, from our networking with the ecosystem organizers, I would say the similarities in Bahrain and India are as what was found in the study before. The startup intention level is comparable. Second, there are demographic variables that influence the startup intention, as what we shared. So that's something similar in Bahrain and in India. What could be different, what we noticed is the opposite, let's say, gender level of startup intention. Woman is higher in India, but in GCC, which Bahrain is very similar, and it could be expected to be a similar case in 2016, not recently. So that's another difference to look into. A third or second difference would be the planned behavior, theory of planned behavior had 3 determinants. In India, all of the 3 were found to have influence on startup intention. In the GCC area, which includes Bahrain, it was only 2. Now, I would adjust for the population size. I would adjust to the, let's say, natural resources differences. So GCC countries are oil producers, not like India. Drivers of sustainable development in India are different. So you have more focus on manufacturing, you have more focusing on textile, you have more focusing on nowadays green energy. And I have heard the contributions of Indian officials in COP27 in Egypt, in Sharm el-Sheikh, where there were very mega projects about green energy. It's not the case in GCC. We're still with the oil energy, I would say. We're trying to transit to green energy as fast as we can to catch with India in this. I will end also with one final thing. There are relations between Bahrain and GCC and India. It's ongoing relations. So there are joint ventures between this region and India. There are very strong ties between the 2 governments. And there are a lot of workers in Bahrain who are from India. So that's also could be a good point to add to this interesting question from Dr. Firdaus. Dr. Nihal, you might also add.
Yes,
from your end.
thank you, Dr. Jalal. So yes, I would like to add something. As you just mentioned, I'll start with one of the latest comments that yes, we have a lot of educators, we have a lot of mentors who are from India, who are really excellent, of course, guiding our students and the startups. Even the ecosystem, we have lots of Indians on different levels with regard to running or leading incubators and some of the accelerators here in Bahrain. I can mention Flat 6 Labs, for instance. So we have so many Indians here running the show or partnering in managing the ecosystem. However, definitely the population size, the size of the country, and the different like strategic industries or strategic resources as mentioned. This is again similar to Egypt. You will find a lot like variation among sectors, industries, education levels, even the new generation, the topics or the studies they are doing. So again, are they more into science, data science, engineering, literature, art? So again, I think this is something that should be looked into. And in large countries, of course, totally different than the GCC, like India and Egypt, we have to look at, maybe in this case, it's better to look at localities, because you might find maybe a strong university in one of the cities that is actually encouraging students to go towards a certain direction or certain research or certain type of startups and the ecosystem. And again, the variation of the environment and the nature itself might push towards maybe different ideas, different innovations and projects. So again, I think these are factors that should be looked into. However, of course, comparative analysis and comparative studies are always welcomed, and they actually reflect interesting findings. I'm looking forward to do cross analysis between India, Egypt, and Bahrain. So let's start. Thank you, Dr. Firdaus.
Thank you for the answer, Dr. Nehal and Dr. Jalal. Dr. Firdaus, do you still have any question, or the answer is enough for you? Sorry, I think you're still in mute.
Yeah, the host was not allowing me to unmute myself. So it was, wonderful that the pointers raised by Dr. Neha and her, co-presenter. So I was, surprising about the population, as, Doctor has already mentioned that population parameter is one of the, the crucial points to compare. But what I learned that India is a motivation towards Bahrain and other countries of Middle East, to get, insights about startups and entrepreneurship. But I want to, give a suggestion, minor suggestion about, because India altogether is also a developing country trying to reach towards, development. And India is world's second largest population. India is doing better in, more areas like entrepreneurship. And India is known as a country of young people. We are having young population too much in our country. Yes, we are having institutions and there is going on infrastructure and so on and so forth. But, if we talk about international trade, connections, agreements between the two countries. So there are, favorable countries like Bahrain is adopting our migrated population who are working as teachers and all. Bahrain is doing, wonderful there because giving a lot of employment to the Indian youth, whether in academia industry. But India is not doing like this. India is having very less, people who are from outside. So here you are having advantage. Yes, so that was my point, that how we are comparing the things as entrepreneurship. We can take, motivations, insights how India is doing and how this Bahrain is doing. But I think to compare between two countries without, making the proxy variables appropriate, there will be always, questions. But it was indeed, great pleasure to hear you with so early morning with fresh minds, and I wish to connect to you and have more collaborations and hear you more in other platforms. Thank you very much for your wonderful this
Thank you.
discussion. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Firdaus. Thank you, Dr. Nehal, and thank you, Dr. Jalal. Because we are time limited, please take your rest, and then I will move to our last but not least, our fourth keynote speaker, Dr. Kiran Sood. Dr. Kiran Sood is a professor at Chitkara Business School, Chitkara University, Punjab, India. She has received her undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in commerce from Punjab University, respectively in 22 and 24. She earned her Master of Philosophy degree in 28 and Doctor of Philosophy in Commerce with a concentration on product portfolio performance of general insurance companies in 2017 from Punjabi University, Patiala, India. For Dr. Kiran Sood, the time is yours.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone from India.
Good morning.
Thank you, everyone. Good morning. First of all, apologies from my side because I am one of the reasons due to which you have rescheduled your, the speakers, and then accordingly I think because it was my fault, so I really feel apology for my side. Okay, because I know how difficult it is for the organizers to reschedule all the positions and then arranging people. I really felt bad for this. So without taking much of time, just give me a second. So while introducing me, you might have noticed that my area of research is purely insurance, right? So that's why the reason only I have taken this topic. If you can see, sustainable solutions for insurance industry. Insurance is always, which is something very close to my heart. Now, moving on to this topic particularly, if you see that the entire financial world, how that is revolving, and we have seen that we always talks about sustainable development goals, and specifically these days, not these days, like it has become a major issue, that climate change. Climate is changing and how this climate is impacting the whole world. But I have taken basically this impact of this climate change and on insurance industry that really plays an important role. That's one of the important sector in the financial world, and this plays an important role in the mobilization of the money, right? While mobilization of the money, we really focus on savings and investment, right? Because we have seen, like, especially my focus will be on India while sharing my views related to my topic, which is sustainable solutions for the insurance industry. I have seen always in like while interacting with people, or that what they have normally, what they feel about insurance. For them, insurance is like wastage of money. They never feel like investing the money for insurance, because for them it is like something which we are paying to the organization, but what else we are getting in return, right? And if I talk about the insurance definition, insurance is something, basically it's a contract between two parties. One is the customer, to whom you call beneficiary, and the opposite party is the insurance company. So insurance company normally undertakes or takes a responsibility to insure your risk, and in consideration, insurance company insures your risk, and in consideration of a risk premium. So the point here is the premium, which is a very, very tedious task for any insurance company to decide. Gone were the days when things were a little bit under control, right? It is the task of actually to go for this premium pricing of the products, right? And but now, due to this climate change and the focus towards sustainable development goals, the entire world is changing. The definition of risk is changing, because insurance world is that world, or insurance is that sector which is somehow connected with so many industries. For example, if I'm not wrong in saying that insurance is very much connected with automobile sector. Second, insurance is very much connected with agriculture sector. Insurance is very much connected with travel and tourism, and similarly it is connected with aviation sector also. So similarly, there are so many industries which are connected with insurance, and all these industries, they seek insurance, and for that they pay premium to the insurance companies, so that the company insure their risk. But the problem here it is to decide the premium. Premium is what? If I define a little bit the premium is basically the price which you pay in order to undertake your risks, right? But the problem is, if I say, let's take an example of a very small example of agriculture sector. When I was listening to you, I cannot take the name, but yes, I heard that yes, it is very much true that India is second largest population country in the world. Above all, it is the youngest population. It carries the youngest population. So one side, it is an opportunity for all of us, but other side, it is a challenge for all of us, because since it is holding the second position in the entire world, but there is a large number of population which is not still covered under the definition of insurance. So there are reasons behind, there are so many reasons behind. Maybe people are not aware of what are the plans and policies are available. And obviously there is a lack of awareness. So I was focusing about just an example related to an agriculture sector. The another important point which I would like to mention here, that in India, the major population, almost 50 to 60% of population, they focus on agriculture sector, right? We are so much dependent on agriculture and allied sectors. And the problem here related to agriculture, that our population is increasing every year, right? Maybe by 2030, I was reading an article a few days back. So I came to know that maybe if we follow the same pace, maybe we will beat China very soon in another 10 years. So we will become number one in terms of the largest country with the largest population. So the problem here is the population is increasing, but if you look at the land size, we have the same land size. You cannot increase the land size. So the challenge is, it is very difficult to feed the huge population with the similar land size. So the challenge was, the opposite was like climate is changing. For example, this monsoon, the drought situation, unpredicted, the monsoons, or sometimes we face the problem of the droughts also, or there are so many large number of calamites which adversely affect the entire production of Indian agriculture. So the challenge was here how to increase the agriculture produce with the similar land, right? Similar quantity of that land, so that we can feed our population. So in that case, we have seen how the technology coming into the picture using IoTs and drone. Our farmers are not educated, right? It was very difficult for them to teach them how to, how they can cover the losses out of for this agriculture crops due to floods or maybe due to drought. So again, the second point which comes into picture here, the literacy level. The literacy level of Indian farmers that's very low. And it is very difficult to, convince them, to teach them, to guide them about all these solutions, sustainable solutions, if I talk about, which are basically related to agriculture based, to teach them how to use drone, to teach them using drone, how they can use pesticides over it, and which crop to go, when to grow, and etc., and which plan is suitable for what type of crops, etc., and various convergence of technology, applying all those technology so that they can increase the production and the quality also. So the problem here, it is that we are lacking behind. And see, if there is something, we have large number of opportunities and we are working on it, but the problem here, it is the overpopulated and the lack of awareness. The literacy rate is very, very low. So this was one of the another important challenge. So we are finding the government is putting, our NABARD bank is putting a lot of efforts to overcome this problem of, agriculture insurance, to teach to the farmers, and then overcome this problem of, there's a gap between, the demand and supply for the food. Okay. Since I have already mentioned that insurance is something which has always remained a neglected sector in India. It's not from now onwards, maybe 50 years ago or 100 years ago, people always neglect, okay, insurance, what is the usage of insurance? It's just wastage of money. They're more inclined towards banking or maybe other investment opportunities, right? So government should take some initiatives in order to encourage or in order to encourage to buy insurance products, right? Because now here it could be like, there is one thing which I would like to add the point. In India, what is the point that in order to encourage investment in insurance, the government, they give tax deduction. I hope in other countries also. That is the tax deduction. What is the tax deduction? That ranges from minimum 25,000 to 50,000. And yes, if you talk about a section particularly, that is section number ATC, in which you can maximum contribute, max to max, you can take a deduction of 1,50,000. This is something which government has, and this is not a new. It is not a new move. It's so much it's been almost 10-20 years the government has initiated this this important move in order to encourage the premium investment coming from the various masses of the people. That is premium investment which comes under the section of ATC. So this was the another point. Now moving on a little bit more about insurance, like if we talk about India, the industry which is catering to the huge masses. Yes.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure that your slide is only this slide, or the slide is not moving.
No, I'm not using the slides.
Oh,
it's
okay,
just the
sorry.
one slide. I am just
yeah, because there are participants who asked. Okay, thank you very much for your confirmation. Please continue.
No, I have not. Yeah, no slides of it.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thank
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
So yes. So I was talking about the insurance as a segment at large. In India, the insurance is divided into two different parts. One is life insurance. The other one is non-life insurance. Non-life insurance is also known as general insurance, and under the category of non-life insurance, there are different segments. For example, automobile. We also call it motor insurance, health insurance, travel insurance, fire insurance, etc., and miscellaneous. So broader, the picture of the insurance is basically divided into two major parts: the life insurance and the non-life insurance, which is also known as general insurance. In India, there is one more important point related to insurance. There is only one insurance which is compulsory, and that is auto insurance or the motor insurance. Reason being, we all know that the number of accidents, or in order to curtail the risks again on the roads, because the population is increasing. So it's the population is increasing. It's not just the population is increasing, as I have already mentioned, the youngest population. India is a country with youngest population. So youngest population is increasing. People are moving towards urbanization. There are so many nuclear families. Earlier, there was a time when it was a joint family system in India, but now just because of urbanization, people are moving towards urbanization. Nuclear families are there, and the youngest population country is there. So their capacity to spend, that is also increasing. Now, if the capacity to spend is increasing, so people are spending on buying cars, maybe two-wheelers or maybe four-wheelers. So due to which, now see, there are two things which comes into the picture: opportunities and the challenges. Opportunity for insurance sector is that the sales of automobiles, right, the sales of vehicles, two-wheelers, etc., they are increasing in the India. So, and other side is automobile is that, motor insurance is compulsory. So they are generating large amount of, the premium income, because motor insurance is compulsory in India. But look at the other side. Population is increasing, population spending more on buying this motors. So this has increased the number of traffic, number of vehicles on the roads. And yes, based on this, the risk is increasing. The probability of accidents are increasing, right? And youngest population is there. So you can expect maybe they break traffic rules. So the definition of risk has been changed a little bit. People are a bit more careless, right? So the problem here is, what is sustainable solution basically here? How you correlate sustainable solution here right now in this changing time when there is a transformation totally. Now, there is a one very important point which I would like to mention here. When we buy any car or any two-wheeler, we pay premium. That varies from, the price of the car, the more costly the car it is, and then the more features it has, you have to pay more premium. But now people are so much, like, those who are very much aware, yes, they are very much aware, and yes, but if you see the percentage of population or the percentage of awareness, that is less, right? Because we have more illiterate, but the ones who are literate, they are very much aware. So the problem here is, why to pay premium if I drive very rare in my. What the insurance companies are doing, they are asking you to pay your price of, which is the insurance premium for your insurance plan, based on your driving skills, right? That's the one important point. And the more you proper pollution, you will be charged more, which can encourage, okay, to control or to use your vehicle in such a sustainable or strategic manner, so that will contribute less to the environment pollution. So this is something. Now in that case, okay, it's a bit challenging also, right? If you look at the world, everybody has their own driving skills, but yes, how we can overcome these challenges, the challenges related to designing premium prices based on your driving skills and etc. We are using IoT, right? Artificial intelligence, the convergence of all technologies. What exactly they are doing, I don't know, but yes, I can just correlate. I can make a sense. Yes, artificial intelligence is something who can judge you, who can, like, they can just yes, they can judge you, they can notice you, what you are doing. If
Dr. Kiran, hello. I think the connection.
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry. You have 2 minutes left.
Okay. Yes. Almost.
Yeah.
Almost.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
exactly.
Thank you. Yeah. Please continue.
So yes. So this was something related to insurance, and it's not just the agriculture sector. We have other types of insurance. We have seen during the COVID time, one of the important player of insurance sector is the health insurance. If I'm not wrong, health insurance is the another segment of non-life insurance sector, which was badly neglected. Because see, life insurance people still buy, but for health insurance, why to buy if I'm not going to have that money? I am not able to recover the investment which I am doing today, because it's waste for me. So for people, it's just waste for making investment in terms of health insurance. But I would not say thanks to COVID, but yes, thanks to COVID for making aware to the people that there is something which is health insurance. You should buy it, because if you are not able to spend the price premium based on your age, right, then later on maybe you have to spend more if you fall sick, or maybe there will be something which is chronic disease happen to you. So in that case, we have seen how many companies they catered to a large number of customers during this COVID time. Even we have seen that it is very difficult to later on reimburse your expenses, medical bills. So thanks to little bit COVID also, so that this, the people have started buying health insurance, right? And And the other point which I already mentioned here related to the tax advantage, which varies from minimum 25,000 to 50,000, that depending upon the case, whether you are paying the premium for a dependent one or maybe for you only. So in that case, these are the sectors which are playing an important role. And above all, the aviation sector, right? We travel a lot, and this was something during COVID times, people were not traveling here. So traveling is always full of risk, right? Hardly matters the mode which you are choosing. So in that case also, the level of risk is also, because if the climate is changing, so it has impact on all types of industries, similar to our aviation sector. So this is from my side, right? I would like to focus here that the sustainable solutions are available to each and every type of industry. Similarly, we do have sustainable solutions for our financial world, particularly in the insurance world. So my focus was to bring to where you can use it, in what manner you can use it. So thank you from my side. If you have any questions, I can see there is one hand raised by Firdaus Malik.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kiransud. Yes, we already have one raised hand from Dr. Firdaus. Please keep your question short, Dr. Firdaus, because it's almost time for us here in Indonesia for praying. So, yeah, you can ask your question. Oh, we have second one, but let's see whether we have time for the second questions. Please, Dr. Firdaus, your questions.
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, it is a wonderful and a very pressing, topic these days going on, sustainable solutions for the industry. So I need, I need 1 minute to explain the background of the question. Then I will, actually, when we are talking about sustainable solutions and insurance, the most victims are the poor people, whether it is calamity,
Yes.
whether it is floods, whether it is, any health crisis like, COVID-19, whether it is inflation, recession, or whatever, ups and downs in the economy, it is affecting mostly to the vulnerable, disadvantaged populations, poor people. So, and one side, insurance is very, tough policy. It is not easy to understand for these vulnerable people. And these insurance policies are outdated for these poor people. They are not in line. So how can insurance as a policy, whether at, by public institution or private institution, how they can fulfill the gap to cover these vulnerable people who are not at one point understanding insurance. At second point, they are not able to be participate in the insurance because of, unsuitable insurance product is available for them. Thank you very much.
Yes. A very good question, or very important question. We normally check at penetration level, or like what is the penetration level of insurance or all the countries. I don't have the data right now, but later on I will ask you to even Google it. If you will see the penetration level of insurance in India, it is very, very less. So looking at that, if you will see, you will be surprised, you will be astonished. There is a huge untapped population in India. And the reason which you have already quoted, my friend Firdaus, that the people are here illiterate. They don't have food, shelter, clothes, the basic requirements. So the problem here there are miles to go. Government is doing, but the focus is majorly on, I'm not saying government is not doing, because first of all, literacy level, we cannot teach them to buy insurance. The priority is to teach them at first, right? They cannot pay insurance premium. That is very, very difficult. It is almost like impossible, but yes, there is nothing in the world which is impossible. So the problem is, yes, there is a huge gap, and see, through words I cannot tell you this gap, right? And it is very difficult, but yes, if you see that little bit increase is there in terms of penetration, but I don't know how many years it will take. Maybe, if I'm not wrong, maybe decades. How many decades it will take to tap the untapped population, which is, because India is a country undoubtedly youngest population, but almost 50 to 60% of population, Firdaus, if I'm not wrong in saying, which is living below poverty line. So you just imagine the population who is living below poverty line, how can they think of insurance? For them, insurance is like a knife. So yes, there are miles to go, maybe with this hope that we will try to cover maximum of our population under the bracket of insurance, right? I got one message in the chat box also. I hope I'm audible.
Oh yes, you are audible. But
there is one message in the...
Oh, it's a direct message for you, or because in my chat box? Oh yes.
It's a direct message. Even I got two direct messages.
Okay, please.
One message is, while buying insurance, customers check claim settlement ratio. Okay, exactly. Claim settlement is very important, because see, you buy insurance, it's okay, saving, investment, but at the last you want to settle your claim in a bestest way. So that is the another. Okay, are these really important decision making factor for insurance company globally? Yes, claim settlement is very important. See, this is my personal observation, right? I really believe in, I'm not promoting any insurance company here, but yes, I'm a person who believe in investing in insurance, maybe in order to reduce my tax, right? Yes, and insurance is not which is only for your insuring risk. Insurance gives you a growth little bit, that depends upon what plan you are taking. So it is not just the premium, it's not just the tax. Yes, as you have quoted already, claim settlement ratio, that really plays an important role. And you look at the company, you look at the claim settlement ratios, which company is good in settling the claims. Normally, I have seen among people that people go for public sector, right? Because they have faith, it is government, it is backed by, it is supported by public, so they go for public sector. So that, that's a wrong opinion about, like, see, private sector, that is also good, they're equally good, but still it's human tendency we go about. But yes, claim settlement ratio is something which is very, very important factor while selecting. I have seen people fighting with the insurance company. There are sometimes people are at fault. There are sometimes companies are at fault. But above all, you have to be very wise enough, and then you have to take a decision. One of the important criteria is claim settlement ratio. I have got two more questions. One more question.
Okay.
Insurance companies are able to, one more question. Insurance company are able to take advantage of new health applications that collect data on people's health and charge them with higher premium. Is this not exploitation under the garb of sustainability? Yes, I am little bit agree or not agree. If I talk about India, there are almost 27 or 28 companies which are competing with each other in this insurance world, comprising both life and non-life insurance company. Okay, now the point is that based on this advantage of new health applications, insurance company charge premium from us based upon several risk factors. So if I'm not wrong in saying, the money which we pay to insurance company, they use that money goes further, that money, money makes money. If you are totally agree with me, money makes money. So mobilization of money goes on, right? For example, if I can say the pricing of this insurance plan is this much of amount, who knows about it? It is only the actuary. But yes, sometimes they charge little bit more prices also, right? Also making money. They are not doing, I think, the social kind of social security, or they're not, so they're also into kind of profit making businesses. So yes, there are at time companies who charge little bit more prices which are not supposed to charge by them, because they have to pay premium, they have to pay, sum assured. I hope you understand, sum assured is the amount which normally sometimes insurance company used to guarantee you. It is written on the policy bond. When you buy the insurance, normally it is written. That varies from plan to plan, because there are large number of policies. In case of mostly in life insurance, there is amount written, sum assured. Sometimes you get, if I'm not wrong in saying, insurance company also involve you in bonus, right? Because the company are earning profits, but there is another level that comes after profits, that's the supernormal profit. Company gives you at time a share of supernormal profits in the form of bonus, which is other than a sum assured. So I would just say yes, but we cannot generalize. If some company or one company has overcharged you, so we cannot make a general opinion that every company is doing it. So this is from my side. I hope there is no other question. No.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kiransud. I see that participants are really excited with their presentations. It's very nice.
It was just one slide. Sorry from my side. I'm a person who is a little bit, bad in making PPTs. So that was a challenge for me, making PPTs. So I'm sorry for that. And sorry for kept you waiting and again changing the schedule because of me. And thank you, the organizers, this Wimaya Conference Association by aibpm, for giving me an opportunity and sharing my views on such an important topic, which is very close to my heart, that's insurance. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Kiransud. Well, actually, I would like to open a question and answer session, but again, time is something that separates us. So therefore, I would like to conclude today's presentation with our keynote speakers. First, the presentation with Dr. Pualianki, which speaks about the topic of the importance of big data in research, and also she explained about the independence variables and dependent variables in statistical research. And then second, for Dr. Firdaus Ahmad Malik, who talks about the importance of financial inclusion in slum dwellers and beggars, which actually his second book. And then the third one, we also got an interesting presentation from Dr. Nehal and Dr. Jalal about the determinants of startups by using the GEM 2016 dataset at differential level. And the last one, of course, from our Dr. Kiransud, who talks about the sustainable solutions for insurance industry. Thank you again for our excellent keynote speaker for sharing this insight with us today. Hopefully their knowledge can be of inspiration for all of us here. Now we shall return to our MC, Aulia Herdiani, to explain the next session. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Intan, for such insightful discussions. And very well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure that we've been having a great day since the seminar and discussions were definitely resourceful and also well constructed. In a moment, we'll run on our next agenda of the oral sessions. But before we move to the presentation sessions, please make sure to rename your Zoom according to your role and as explained in expanse. And all presenters can enter the Zoom based on the presentation schedule. You can join the room by clicking the join button and you will be automatically join the presentation room. After the presentation has been accomplished, all presenters are urged to coming back to the main room for the closing remarks. I'd also like to inform the Muslim participants, since we have Jummah prayer today, you're pleased to worship first and then come back to the sessions afterward. On behalf of Universitas Pembangunan Nasional Veteran Yogyakarta and aibpm, we'd like to say thank you to all keynote speakers and the moderator for the inspiring speech and discussions. Our apology for any inconvenience and lags during the seminar sessions, and for the parallel sessions will be led by the committee. Hope to engage with you soon in the next agenda. I am Aule Hardiani. See you and goodbye.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we have come to the end of the conference. I hope you have been having a great day since you have finally presented your papers in this conference. We hope that all the papers that have been presented will be useful for all of us in the future and contributed to the current research within the field of economics and business. Now, before we end the conference, I would like to announce the 3 best papers and presenters. We will then have your certificate displayed on the screen as appreciation for your hard work. So, the winners of Best Presenter category are, the third one is Mrs. Shiantani Salwa Hardi. The second one is Mr. Prince Charles Heston Runtunu. And the first one is Mrs. Istiana Rahat Mawati. Congratulations to all 3. Everyone, please give applause to all of them. Okay, moving on, we will announce the winners of best. The winners are, the third one is Mrs. Farah Wulandari Panisuti, and the second one is Mrs. Ayutita Tiara Silalahi, and the first one is Mr. Sularso Budi Laksono. Congratulations, everyone! You must have done an impressive presentations to be nominated as the winners of both categories. Thank you. For all the winners, you can get your certificate of appreciation after the event alongside with the certificate of participation. So now, we finally come to the end of the second Wimaya International Conference in Economics and Business. We would like to say thank you again to all the keynote speakers for their informative and interesting talks. And to all the presenters, the audience for your active participation. Hopefully, this event will be beneficial for everyone. Do not forget to post the photo and testimonial in your Instagram and social media and give hashtag 2022 Wimaya and hashtag Info for Academia. And the best Instagram post will get free entry to our next conference. My name is Ai. Thank you for your attention and see you again at our next conference.